Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. So you can see I have taken the Lizardmen. My forces are going to be led by Kroq-Gar, and we are facing up against the Dark Elves led by Malekith himself. So let's get straight to the army compositions. For my army, I've got a front line of Saurus warriors with shields, with a skink cohort with javelins for a nice meat shield with some poison javelins. We've got feral cold ones to back up the line for some armor piercing. Skink priest, Lord of Heavens on foot. He's carrying Uranus Thunderbolt and Curse the Midnight Wind for that armor mitigation and melee attack mitigation. We've also got one Cold One Spear Rider on each flank. Of course, Kroq-Gar up on Grimlock. We've got a Solar Engine as well as a Revification Crystal. We've also got over here Vanguard deployed, two Chameleon Skinks, which are a great anti-skirmisher unit. They're really good in a lot of different ways. They've got missile resistance, really good speed, poison attacks, and poison javelins. They're decent in melee, and you know, they can definitely do some good skirmishing. Their stock also lets them get extremely close before being spotted. For my opponent's forces, of course, he's got Malekith up on the Seraphon. Looks like he's carrying Soul Stealer, Blade Wind, Chill Wind, and Power of Darkness. We've got for his infantry corps a mix of Bleak Swords with Hargoneth Executioners up front. We've got a War Hydra, looks like a Dreadspear on each flank, and a Blackguard of Naggarond to back things up. So definitely agree with the Blackguard. These guys are a great pick against the Lizardmen. In addition, over in this forest, he's got two units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, which is, again, a very good pick against the Lizardmen. They don't have anything that can really catch these guys, so the only way I'm going to be able to answer them is with ranged fire. Let's go ahead and kick things into full gear. First things first, Malekith's going to get up, try and do a little bit of Dragon Breath and so on, but we're going to be just perpetually shooting him with the Solar Engine, which does pretty good work against flying units. You can see a nice hit there, doing about 5% HP damage, give or take. But eventually, over time, you know, he'll definitely be able to work them down. You can see the skinks on the Revification Crystal are also throwing poison javelins. So Malekith's being poisoned. We're also going to get this unit of skink cohorts pitching their javelins into Malekith, just to try and do as much damage from range as possible. He did get that Noxious Breath right into those Saurus, which did some pretty decent damage, but Malekith's taking quite a bit of damage as well. He's going to flee over towards this top of the hill, but he hasn't spotted my Chameleon Skinks over here. So we're going to bring them up and start some nice skirmishing with Malekith. This Cold One Spear Rider over on this flank I've just been using to kind of chase away these Dark Riders so they don't just fire on my infantry line. Now I've pulled them back away through the forest. Let's see here. So they're going to be pulling back around this way, just using the forest for cover. Meanwhile, Malekith's taking quite a bit of damage from these Chameleon Skinks, and because of the poison and their high speed, they're going to be able to mostly just pull away here. He is going to get a couple unit models with those attack animations, but, you know, the damage that we're doing on him is totally worth it, and he's definitely not going to want to stick around in this fight since I've now got these Cold One Spear Riders here. So, just, you know, getting a nice skirmish phase going. We'll fast forward just a little bit here as we're taking a few more shots with the Laser Lizard and just perpetually kind of poking away with these Chameleon Skinks. My opponent's going to get a Dragon Breath right into those Cold One Spear Riders. Does some really nice damage, actually. Wow, that took out quite a few unit models. I'm surprised. But we've now switched the Laser Lizard over onto the Hydra, although it does have regeneration. I just wanted to start doing as much damage as possible, you know, from a distance. So my opponent's hesitating to advance. I'm not really sure why, but he definitely needs to get in here to mitigate the damage that the Laser Lizard can do. But we're going to get these skinks over and across into my opponent's rear lines here so they can poke away with their poison blow darts, you know, from behind. This unit of skink meat shields is pitched their javelins, and now they're just going to stand in here and get carved up pretty quickly by these Hargoneth Executioners. It's a worthy skink sacrifice. These guys are adorable. I hate to do this, but, you know, it is what it is. But now we're charging through with the Feral Cold Ones. They're doing some really nice shock damage on these Hargoneth Executioners, following up nicely with the Saurus Warriors with shields. You can see the Feral Cold Ones already getting terrified off, but considering they're only a 450-point unit, they already did quite a bit of damage there, so I'm happy with that. The Revification Crystal moving up just to cause terror and do some armor piercing onto that infantry. This unit of Feral Cold Ones just kind of biding its time here, looking for the right target. Meanwhile, we've got Chameleon Skinks just poking away here. And wow, look at that breath from Malekith, doing some really nice work there against those Saurus Warriors. We're just getting poked away a little bit by these Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, which is unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. Kroq-Gar's rampaging in the rear lines. We're going to get him matched up on the Hydra here. These Blackguard are not... they're Yeah, they're over here, so not too big of a risk there. The Hargoneth Executioners will do some damage to Kroq-Gar, but meanwhile the Skink Chief's getting bullied a little bit, so I've pulled around the Revification Crystal and the Saurus Warriors, as well as the Cold One Spear Riders to just pin Malekith down in here, do some nice anti-large armor-piercing damage, so he's definitely gonna struggle to get away from this here, and I've got my Skink Chief back in contention here. He's gonna be dropping some really nice Uranus Thunderbolt. This is a beautiful blob right here for that. We could also potentially drop one maybe right here, but this has some really high value units here. You can see the Murderous Prowess now going off. Chill Wind being used to slow down a lot of these units here, and Malekith using his own Dark Riders kind of as a meat shield there to pull through. The Revification Crystal is going to get onto the Dark Riders and tie them down. We're throwing some Javelins from these regrouped Skinks as well. And yeah, just here comes the Uranus Thunderbolt now, right into these Blackguard and the Hargoneth Executioners, who are also being shot in the back by the Chameleon Skinks. So, boom! Very nice explosion. Did some really good damage there. These Saurus are, Saurus are a very tanky unit. They'll be able to hold out here for some time, so that's all good. Malekith using Power of Darkness on the War Hydra, of course, because it does have regeneration, so he'll be able to get some nice Winds of Magic out of that. I'm having to pull Kroq-Gar away just because he's very low, using the Sacred Spawning of Zodal to give him that physical resistance and refresh his vigor, but just continually having to heal him with the Revification Crystal and Cold-Blooded, getting a really nice Hand of the Gods there, striking Malekith. Not quite taking him down, but he is getting very, very low, so he's going to have to be careful. Soul Stealer, though, going down on Kroq-Gar. That's going to return some health to Malekith and do quite a bit of damage to Kroq-Gar, so I'm now pulling around the Revification Crystal to drop some healing on the last defender himself. You can see the Cold-Blooded also being popped, which is a bit of a mistake. Malekith's down here in combat with him, so I don't want that Cold-Blooded, but I'm going to use that Swiftness of Itzel to get away from this engagement and just to continue to heal up. This is one issue with the Lizardmen leadership, is you really have to take them down aggressively, otherwise they're just going to heal up and come back to haunt you, and it's really going to be a tough time. So I'm just pulling Kroq-Gar back to a safe position. Meanwhile, these Dark Riders with crossbows are continuing to poke away at the Cold One Spear Riders, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. This unit of Saurus is rampaging, chasing these Dark Riders to the edge of the map, which is fine by me. Meanwhile, the Solar Engine is still fairly healthy, continuing to fire over here. Going to be taking some pot shots at Malekith. A lot of my troops here in the center have routed, though, so it's a pretty tough situation. He's still got this very healthy unit of Blackguard of Nagaron, these Hargoneth Executioners as well. I do still have the Revification Crystal and Kroq-Gar, of course, getting some healing. Another Cold-Blooded there from the Skink Priest. Just continue to heal him up. But these Chameleon Skinks, my opponent's going to be chasing them a little bit here, but he's going to have a really hard time catching them. Looks like they're shooting some darts over into this regrouped unit of Bleak Swords, which is fine by me. The Solar Engine just terror routing off these Dread Spears here, and it is looking pretty tough for the Dark Elves at this point, although they did kind of win that infantry engagement initially. I've still just got so much left. These Cold One Spear Riders, this Bastiladon and Kroq-Gar are just going to come through and rampage through all this infantry. Despite this Blackguard being relatively healthy here, it's not going to be able to stand up to all this pain. This is a major pain train rolling through right now, so my opponent's going to get the Hydra in to attempt to break up this blob here, but we're using the Cold One Spear Riders just to muck him up a little bit, and hopefully the Terror kicks in. The Blackguard of Nagaron, oh, they actually are immune to Psychology. I didn't realize. That's really good. They're better than Chosen, then. But, yeah, Malekith's very low as well, and the Solar Engine is still just poking away at him, doing some really nice damage, and the morale damage that it's doing is critical as well. I don't really want to take the engagement with Malekith head-on. I don't really want to risk that with Kroq-Gar here, so we're just going to do what damage we need to from range, and Dark Riders firing into the Solar Engine, but it's a bit too little, too late. The poison darts as well that the Skinks are throwing from the side are poking away at Malekith. Another beautiful Hand of the Gods there, striking Malekith and almost taking him down. He's down to 360 hit points. These Blackguard are still holding out here, doing some nice damage to the Revification Crystal along with the Hydra, but Malekith is really struggling now, 141 health after that Solar Engine hit. And yeah, these Dark Riders are trying their best to take this thing down, but it's not going to be enough volume of fire. Meanwhile, the Chameleon Skinks have about used up all their ammo. They've been able to just continuously poke away here, and Bleak Swords coming in to try and interrupt them, but at this point I think the Chameleon Skinks would probably win that engagement in melee. You can see we're able to break the Hydra, Malekith breaks, and that'll be army losses for the Dark Elves. So, very epic battle. Well played to my opponent. I really enjoyed that one. In terms of the army breakdown here, the Hargoneth Executioners did very well. The Blackguard of Nagaron weren't able to do what they needed to, unfortunately. They got a little bit blobbed up in that infantry engagement and weren't really focused on the dinosaurs like they needed to be. Dark Riders with repeater crossbows I really like in this engagement, but they used up a lot of their time and ammo poking away at Saurus rather than shooting at the dinos, which is what they really needed to be doing. The Hydra did some good work. I might have to play around with this guy a little bit more in this matchup because he seems pretty decent, but yeah, Kroq-Gar was able to pretty well handle him, but he did pick up a Chevron, which is nice. The meat shield units for the Dark Elves didn't really do a whole lot. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Bleak Swords. I would almost always rather bring Dread Spears in pretty much any situation, and I'll go through that on another time. But 61 kills on Malekith. You'd hope to get a little bit more, but that's pretty decent. Kroq-Gar getting 46 kills and some really nice work done on the Hydra and Malekith. The Skink Priest only accounted for 1 kill, but I don't think the Uranus Thunderbolt and other bombardment spells count the kills properly, like Warp Lightning and so on. So he did some nice work. That Curse of the Midnight Wind as well helps sunder the armor of the Hargoneth Executioners and so on, meaning the Saurus will trade more effectively there. These Chameleon Skinks were MVPs, man, poking away at Malekith, poking away continuously with the poison in the rear line, just mitigating my opponent's stats. The Feral Cold Ones didn't get too many kills, but that's okay. They're a 450-point unit, so anything they can do is great. They're mostly there to just help the Saurus. And Cold One Spear Rider's doing some really nice work as well. The Revification Crystal, of course, helping to heal, which is what it's there for. So, very fun battle. Well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we will see you next time.